Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. On this channel, we spend our time looking at fantasy of all sorts, from books to movies to video games, and applying the characters within into the tabletop game Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Today, though, we're going to be looking at a core mechanic of D&D itself. Specifically, we're going to be looking at a race known as the Shifters. Shifters are a very interesting race. They're kind of like lycanthrope light, because they're humanoids that have the ability to, as a bonus action, shift into one of 4 different wild shapes. These wild shapes, they maintain their humanoid figure, but they change their appearance and gain a couple extra abilities to go with the shape. How do they stack up mechanically? We're going to look at all 4 of them in this video. Now, there are a few things they all have in common. First of all, their size is medium. This is a pretty normal thing. It's a 10 out of 10. No problem there. Their speed is 30 feet as standard, which is a standard speed, 9 out of 10. They all have dark vision. 60 feet, they can see in the dark, and everyone who doesn't have it wishes they did. 10 out of 10 for dark vision. Interestingly enough, they actually only speak one language, normally. They speak Common, and that's it. There is no other language that is unique to them. This is the least amount of languages that pretty much anyone talks, so 7 out of 10 for their language. But now let's get into the 4 different sub-races. First of all is the Beasthide race. The Beasthide race largely leans into their power. They get a +2 to their constitution and a +1 to their strength. I give this 9 out of 10 and 7 out of 10 respectively. They also get natural athlete, which gives them proficiency in athletics. Athletics is a decent skill. I give that a 6 out of 10 personally. Finally, when they shift into their Beasthide form, they get temporary hit points. All shifters get temporary hit points, but the Beasthide gets more of them. And they get a natural +1 to their AC on top of their armor class when they shift. So this is a really good feature. Extra temp HP, extra AC, that's amazing. 10 out of 10 for that. Then comes the Longtooth sub-race of the Shifter. The Longtooth has a +2 to their strength and a +1 to their dexterity, making them fast and vicious. They also have the Fierce feature, which gives them proficiency in intimidation, which isn't bad. And then their shifting feature is that they gain a Fang attack, which they can use as a bonus action. This means that they can do a 1d6 plus their strength mod as a bonus action, no matter what they're wielding. So you can actually do this on top of weapons. It's almost like having a dual wielding power. You can do it if you have sword and board or a two-handed weapon, which is pretty good. So their ASIs, I give them an 8 out of 10 for each. Their proficiency in intimidation, I give an 8 out of 10. And their shifting feature, I give a 9 out of 10. Overall, very, very good. Then comes the Swift Stride. Swift Stride shifters get a +2 to their dexterity and a +1 to their charisma. This is an amazing boost. Both of those are very, very useful skills. And I give that a 10 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10. They get proficiency in the acrobatics skill, naturally, which is okay. 7 out of 10 for that skill. And finally, when they shift, their speed increases by 10 feet, making their movement speed 40 feet while they're shifted. And, as a reaction, when an enemy ends their turn near them, they can move 10 feet without provoking opportunity attacks, keeping them really, really on their toes and away from enemies. This shifting feature is a solid 10 out of 10. Speed and maneuverability are helpful no matter who you are. Finally, the Wild Hunt shifter. Wild Hunt shifters are natural trackers. They get a +2 to their wisdom and a +1 to their dexterity, both of which I give an 8 out of 10. They get proficiency in the survival skill, which isn't bad. There are more useful skills out there, but I give it a 6 out of 10. And then their shifting feature, They get advantage on all their wisdom checks, so perception and other things like it. But they also have the ability which stops enemies from getting advantage on them ever. Like, that is a high level power. To just stop advantage against anyone trying to hit you is incredible. That's really good. And add in your advantage in wisdom saves, and you just have a great shifting feature. 10 out of 10. So that's the 4 different types of shifters. When you crunch all the numbers together, it turns out that all of them have valid things to add to the shifter, and all of them earn a 9 out of 10 for their racial rank. They're all good. Some are better than others. My personal favorite of them all is the Swift Stride. The extra dex, the extra speed, it's all great, but honestly, they all work in unique ways. Bonus action attacks, extra AC, extra speed, no advantage for your enemies. All of them have powerful abilities, a skill that you get proficiency in. It's all good stuff, and they all have dark vision, and they're all medium size. I really think that the shifter race is well worth looking into. No matter what you're playing as, there's a shifter out there for you. And in general, I think that they all make very good cases for frontliners, for agile fighters. Hell, even spellcasters could really get in with that extra constitution buff that they get from the Beasthide and the +1 to AC when you aren't wearing armor. If you're a spellcaster, it all works out. Check shifters out. They are a fantastic race, which deserve your time and your attention. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below, and keep your eyes peeled for more racial reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.